Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about BT Brinjal. So this is a genetically modified food. So what are the concerns and what is the impact of this brinjal on the market, on the farmers, on the consumers and its nutritional value? We are going to discuss that. So this is a channel StudyIQ. If you're preparing for any government exam, a pen drive and tablet courses are also available. For additional information, you can visit our website. And if you're preparing for UPSC CAC 2020, then you can get a pen drive course for the same, which is prepared by the top faculties of India, and now you can get it at monthly price of rupees 625 only. So what is the relevance of this topic from your examination point of view? See, in your mains paper 3 it will be covered under these topics. Objective level, you should know about what are genetic modified organisms, genetic modified food, and at subjective level, what are the concerns related to BT Brinjal that are needed to be addressed. For me, you can connect with me on Instagram and Facebook for your queries. So now, why it is in news? Because what happened a month ago, BT Brinjal, to resist the brinjal fruit and shoot borer, so that is an insect, it was found growing illegally in Haryana because it is already banned in India. It's not legal, so it was found illegally. They were growing it in Haryana. But this BT Brinjal was different from one which was developed by an Indian company known as Mahako. So Monsanto, which is already a big name of a company in biotechnology, it has 26% stake in this Indian company. Now talking about what is this BT Brinjal. See, Mahako BT Brinjal, it has been put under moratorium, that is, it has been suspended. Its sales and its production has been suspended since 2010 by the government of India. Even as the government clamped down on the illegal GM crop, there are some farmer groups which are demanding the release of this Indian company's BT Brinjal and other GM crops in the regulatory pipeline, because otherwise the people will grow it illegal. So they are demanding that you should bring these brinjal into the regulatory mechanism, regulatory pipeline. Now it is true that this suspension, this moratorium, it was imposed by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. However, it was cleared by the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, GEAC. This is the apex regulatory body for the GM crops. You should remember this. So now before we move ahead, I want to give you a small background about this BT Brinjal. So see, this debate around BT Brinjal, it started in 2000. When Mahako, that is Maharashtra Hybrid Seeds Corporation, they came up with GM Brinjal. GM is your genetically modified. Seeds were exported to Bangladesh and Philippines in 2006 as a civil society resisted field trials in India. Now what is this BT Brinjal? So BT Brinjal, it is a transgenic brinjal which is created by inserting a particular gene. That gene is CRY1AC from the soil bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis. So BT stands for the Bacillus thuringiensis. So it is expected that when this is transformed, genetically transformed, as DNA is modified, this gene when inserted into the brinjal, it make it resistant against certain insects. So this is said to give the brinjal plant resistance against lepidopteran insects like the brinjal fruit and the shoot borer and fruit borer like Helicoverpa armigera. These are the names of the insects. You can remember it or not, but you should know it is a transgenic brinjal. So now we will discuss what are the impacts of this BT Brinjal. So we will discuss the negative side, because why the government has banned it, what they are saying, right? So firstly we will discuss its effect on prices, issues on biosafety, nutritional issues, opinion of the government. So talking about effects on prices, so what they say, the National Institute of Agricultural Economics and Policy Research, they have anticipated that if BT Brinjal performs well, if it is introduced into the market, there will be great output of this particular vegetable, this fruit brinjal. It will increase, so the production will increase. That means the retail prices will go down, they will fall. So there will be no benefit to the farmers, only consumers will be benefited. So if you see from the farmer's perspective, it is not good. And this report totally ignores the scenario that the companies might change the premium prices for BT Brinjal seeds, because they feel they will sell it at very high prices to the farmers, which will not beneficial to the farmers at all. So now we will discuss the biosafety issue. Now see, there is this Dr. YSR from Horticultural University. He has highlighted that there are crucial deficiency in the characterization of BT brinjal, and there are many environmental impact assessments also. They say that it will harm the environment, and there are many deficiencies in the characteristics of BT brinjal to be consumed by human population. And then there is this ecologist Madhav Gadgil. So they have warned of contamination of India's diverse brinjal varieties. They said that we should not contaminate the original varieties with the genetically modified ones. See, biodiversity. So what do you understand by biodiversity? That means all different variety of plants, animals, living organisms which are present on the earth. So they say biodiversity is critical for the nutrition and sustainability, and the government's own task force on biotechnology. So this task force was formed in 2004. They had recommended that no GM crop should be allowed in biodiversity rich areas. And further, there's one thing more here by Supreme Court. A majority of technical expert committee that was appointed by Supreme Court of India. So why they constituted this committee? Against the public PILs, public interest litigation over the GM crops. Even they have recommended that there should be a ban on the genetically modified crops, ban on genetically modifying those crops for which India is a center of origin or diversity. And brinjal is one such crop which happens to be such crop whose originating point is in India. Now talking about the nutritional issues. See, in terms of nutrition, there seem to be some significant differences between the BT brinjal and the ordinary brinjal. Now many health researchers have argued that BT brinjal poses risks to the human health. Even S. Swaminathan and V.M. Katoch, who were the Director General of ICMR, they have asked for long-term chronic toxicity studies before taking any decision on the BT brinjal. And further, even they have asked that these should be conducted independently. By independently, they mean that instead of relying exclusively on MACO for data, you should construct a team of scientists, eminent scientists from India for independent probe. And many health researchers and professionals and scientists such as immunologists, they have argued that BT brinjal poses risks to the human health. So now what is the government of India saying? See, BT brinjal has found no support from any state, not even Kerala and Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand and Kerala have specially asked for the ban on GM crops. And then the states with substantial brinjal cultivation, that is West Bengal, Odisha, Bihar, they have opposed the release pending rigorous extensive testing also. And as did Chhattisgarh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh. Okay, they have also resisted. In 2012 and 2017 respectively, there was a parliamentary standing committee on agricultural, and there was another committee on science and technology, environment and forest. They have also talked about GM controversy, and both of these committees, they expressed grave concerns about lapses in the regulatory system. So this is very important. They have pointed out the lapses in the regulatory system. So these committee on agriculture was so alarmed by the irregularity and the assessment of BT brinjal that they have recommended a thorough probe by a team of eminent independent scientists and the environmentalists, which has never happened till now. It is just a recommendation. So both committees endorsed also labeling of GM foods. So I have already made this lecture in Hindi, and one of the student, they inquired about it on my Instagram, that how can we identify between the GM crops and the original or the native crops. See, we cannot identify them through our eyes. So this labeling is needed, that the companies which are selling them, when they are coming into the market, they are being introduced in the market, there should be a labeling to protect the consumer's right to know. We can only differentiate about them in genetic study. Now, talking about the scientific community, see, there is no scientific consensus on GM crops. Some scientists say it's very beneficial, some scientists say it's not, it has toxic effects, we should wait for the long-term studies also. Now, see, in recent years, pests have developed resistance to both BT cotton, which has forced farmers to spray lethal pesticides. Now, this led to even 50 deaths in the area Vidarbha in 2070. So, a GM-based strategy of pest control is unsustainable, and all the more since farmers already pressed for land, they have ignored government's recommendation to plant refuge crops. But this problem of sustainable remunerative farming has become more accurate, and alternative strategies are there. For example, organic and zero budget natural farming, which do not allow GM seeds, are gaining grounds in our country. So what is the way forward here? So before talking about way forward, let's see what is the need of the hour. Okay, before that, there's a question for you, like, do we really need GM crops? See, if this question is asked, then you should know the positives of GM crops, like they have high crop yields, they have reduced farm costs, increased farm profit, then they have improvement in health and environment also. These are the positives. But there is if it is like, if you feel like no, they should not be introduced, then you should say there is lack of clarity, because there is no scientific consensus on this particular thing. The scientific community itself seems uncertain about this. Then there is threat to domestic crops also, and there is also potential for pests to evolve resistance to the toxins produced by GM crops, as we have seen in the case of BT cotton, right? So these are the positives and negatives. Now coming to the way forward. What is the way forward in this case? See, a GM based strategy of pest control is unsustainable, all the more so since farmers already pressed for land. Now the government must detail the steps it has taken since 2010 to address this particular lacuna in the scientific community. Government should clarify precisely how BT Brinjal benefit the farmers, and government should try to put the infrastructure to ensure labeling into the place and demonstrate how BT Brinjal fits in sustainable farming and biodiversity conservation. And for the conclusion, you can say that as things stand by now, BT Brinjal, it is running totally countering to the framework for agricultural development and farmers' well-being, which was devised by parliamentary panels and the government's own task force and expert committee. So in need of the R's, you should say GEAC. I've already told you what is the full form. Now you can tell me in the comment box. I've told you in the previous slides. So need of the R is they should visit the farms and conduct tests. They should identify the source of seeds. They should destroy GM crops if they are harmful. They should compensate losses incurred by farmers, penalize distributing companies which were selling these in the Haryana case, which were selling the illegal seeds, and there should be a mechanism. Government should try to form a mechanism to avoid such incidents in the future. So now what do you think about this Haryana thing, and what separately you think about the GM crops, about the positive negatives? Should they be introduced into the market, right? So you can tell me in the comment box. So if you want to connect with me for your queries, you can connect with me on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you.